in the toss. Took a loss, that's your loss. Had to get my point across.
Single biggest change that happened in last June at the Galwan Valley, where according to me, it was a localized incident that went out of control. I do not believe that there was any grand plan for that event to happen. But the way after it happened, I can see a sea change in Indian foreign policy elites and at the domestic level, that a rising China is antagonistic to India, and we need to orient our foreign policy accordingly. I do believe that a lot of foreign policy elites in India were already thinking about this, but there was a sense that there is a lot for India to prosper if it works constructively with China. And to be honest, I'm in that camp where I believe that there's no point in being too much of a hawk with a country that's always going to be your neighbor. Yeah, so obviously there's a difference between the short-term approach and the long-term approach over here. I think the short-term approach that India is doing right now is the correct approach, whether it was banning apps or it's, putting in some enhanced restrictions when it comes to trade and investment from the Chinese side, because obviously, as External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has said, that we can't go back to normal just, with having so many troops on the border. But in the medium to longer term, Sagorika, I do think that there has to be constructive economic engagement with China. One of my arguments has been that it's important for India to cultivate at least some of the business lobbies in Shanghai, in major Chinese cities that look to India as a major market, at least in non-strategic areas. That could act as a bit of a break for PLA expansionism in the region. For your point exactly about the BRI and projects that China funds, I don't think anyone is asking for India to become part of the Belt and Road Initiative. I just don't see that happening. Yes. I personally do look at some of the isolated cases that happen in various countries, such as Sri Lanka or Kenya, as cases where those countries have made their own mistakes. They've not made their own due diligence. At the end of the day, if money is given to you as a loan and not a grant, that money has to be repaid. And if that money is not repaid, then that creditor is entitled to taking their action. So I find it a little pointless to blame the creditor over there, because they did not force the debtor country to take those particular funding. But when I talk more about India and China in terms of economic relations, I actually believe in learning from China, that despite having not always friendly relations with Japan or the US, it's been able to build up its economy by basically separating the fact that you don't need to like your economic trading partner that much. And at the end of the day, as India slowly becomes the world's third largest economy, China is the world's second largest economy, it would hurt India to essentially boycott China and Chinese economy. So in the longer term, I am more in favor of more constructive engagement in the economic region, but of course, not in sectors that are essential to India's security and defense.